In the summer of 1982, the world wanted a friend from the stars. They got E.T. instead, but John Carpenter gave them a... Let's talk about Rob Bottin. He was only 22 years old when he designed these creatures. He worked so hard he had to be hospitalized for exhaustion. Though there was no CGI here, everything you see, the stretching skin, the spider heads, the exploding chest, was made of latex, slime, and mechanical parts. In the famous chest defibrillator scene, they used a real double amputee actor and prosthetic arms made of wax and gelatin, so the teeth could actually bite through them. This level of detail is why the movie still looks better than most Marvel movies today. John Carpenter is a master of music, but for this film, he hired the legendary Ennio Morricone. Carpenter wanted something electronic and cold, so the result was a heartbeat, a repetitive mechanical pulse that never stops. It builds a tension that is almost unbearable. Interestingly, the soundtrack was nominated for a Razzie for Worst Score in 1982. Today, it's considered a masterpiece of minimalism. It sounds like the ice itself is breathing.
One quick reaction. Well, what would your reaction be to somebody who said, listen, who wants to see a sequel of The Thing? Do you think it's a correct term, a sequel?
I think The Thing is an original film. It's based on a short story called Who Goes There by John Campbell. And I know the original movie, The Thing from Another World, made in 1951, was taken from the short story, but really it didn't have much to do with it. So it's a different film.
It seems to me that the film deals a great deal with paranoia.
Yeah, that's what the film is about.
It really transcends the specificness of the monster, for instance.
Right? Yeah, the specificness of the creature, the reality of the creature, is there to make you believe it. Oh, it is true. Oh, it is real. God, it is weird. But the movie is about who is it? Who goes there? Which one of us is a creature and which one of us is human?
Now, I can imagine having seen this film. If I were 11 years old and my mother wouldn't let me see this film, I'd be really angry, because I know that at 11 years old I could handle this. Do you think this is a good film for kids that age, even though it's rated R? They're going to get it anyway.
11 years old? I think that I can look at it from a parent's point of view, but I'd rather look at it from a kid's point of view. If I was 11 years old, I'd give anything to see this film. I'd want to see it immediately and probably go back again to see it. As a parent, I would say to myself, this is a scary movie. Now, is my child impressionable? Is it going to bother him? Or is he going to understand that it is a film? It's a fantasy, and it's not meant to be real. And this is something for enjoyment, much like a roller coaster is for enjoyment.
I have to believe, and tell me if I'm incorrect, that when you make a film like this, you have to be concerned, again, this is my term, you have to be concerned with limits of grossness. For instance, is there a point where you say, listen, we just can't see anymore? For instance, I'm talking about cutting up a finger, for instance, instead of using a reaction shot, giving it to us in a close-up, and taking out of the intestines and so forth. It's an open-ended question, but do you...
Well, the specifics you mentioned are there for reasons, for dramatic reasons. Again, when you're making a monster movie, it's like all forms of cinema that are extremely difficult. You're making a movie about something that is not real, that is out of the imagination, and you have to make it with really specific things. And what I wanted the film to have from beginning to end was a sense of realism. And rather than cut away from the scenes you're talking about, I showed them. I don't think there's anything gory or bloody in The Thing. I don't think there's anything that's too strong for an audience, but I think that the sense of the movie, of the entirety of it, is one of, there is, in fact, this thing in our midst, and we have to treat it seriously.
This is the most debated ending in horror history. Macready and Childs, two men, a bottle of scotch, and the freezing cold. Is one of them infected? Look closely at the eye light theory. Look at the breath theory. Some fans claim you can't see Child's breath in the cold air. But there's a darker theory, the bottle. Did Macready give Childs a bottle of gasoline to see if he would react? Or is it just two humans waiting to die knowing the thing has already won because it has destroyed their trust? To capture the isolation of Antarctica, Carpenter didn't use a studio in LA. He took the crew to Stewart, British Columbia. The conditions were brutal. Temperatures dropped to minus 30 degrees. The crew lived in constant cold, which helped fuel the genuine frustration and cabin fever you see on screen. Kurt Russell, who plays Macready, almost died in a stunt involving a real stick of dynamite. The set was a mess of ice, real snow, and heavy equipment. Carpenter wanted the audience to feel the cold in their bones. When you see the breath of the actors, that isn't a special effect, that's real freezing air. John Carpenter usually scores his own movies, but for The Thing, he called the maestro Ennio Morricone. Carpenter asked for something electronic and cold. Morricone delivered a heartbeat. The score is minimalist, almost annoying in its repetition. It builds a sense of dread that never resolves. The soundtrack was actually nominated for a Razzie for Worst Musical Score in 1982. Today it is studied as one of the most influential ambient horror scores in history. It doesn't tell you when to be scared, it tells you that you are already in danger. The Thing was ahead of its time. It's a movie about the collapse of society, about how quickly we turn on each other when fear takes over. John Carpenter's masterpiece didn't need a sequel. The mystery is what makes it immortal. Next time you're in the dark and you look at your friend, just remember, trust is a fragile thing. Don't forget to subscribe to VHS Horror Synths for more deep dives into the 80s. Tell me in the comments, who was infected at the end?